You have a busy life and too much to do to risk getting sick? Vaccines like the COVID-19 vaccine can help you stay healthy, so you don't miss out. You will have more time for your family, friends, and good times. Getting vaccinated will give you the best possible protection available against severe illness or even death. To learn more, visit sanantonio.gov/immunizations or find us on social media using #GetVaccinated. Todos tenemos una vida ocupada y no nos podemos arriesgar a enfermarnos. Las vacunas pueden ayudar a mantenernos saludables, así que no las desaproveches. Tendrás más tiempo para tu familia, amigos y los momentos especiales. Vacunándote tendrás la mejor protección disponible contra enfermedades severas e incluso la muerte. Para más información visita el sitio web de MetroHealth, sanantonio.gov/health o encuéntranos en redes sociales con el #vacúnate. Todos
Good evening and welcome to the 5th annual San Antonio CityFest. This year's Urban Ideas Festival is available online and in person throughout San Antonio. Through the support of our sponsors, this year's virtual series is free and accessible for all. We do invite you to share today's conversation on Facebook to ensure these critical conversations are reaching everyone in the community. Before we begin, we do want to take a moment to acknowledge our sponsors. A special thank you to our 2022 presenting sponsors, the City of San Antonio and Bexar County Economic and Community Development. We also thank our engagement and innovation sponsors for supporting this year's event. For a full list of our sponsors, please visit www.cityfestsa.org. And if you find value in local reporting efforts and civic engagement events like this one, we invite you to support our nonprofit newsroom today by joining our membership program. Click the link in the chat to donate today. Now, let's get started. In this moment of intense political debate about immigration, we wanted to zoom out and have a broader conversation across cultures about the immigrant experience. We invited a group of immigrants and advocates to join us to talk more about what they've experienced and why they do what they do. We're so glad to have a panel of people who have either immigrated to the United States themselves or now work in advocacy to help others. So let's introduce our panel. Today we have Juliana Martinez. She is a Colombian entrepreneur and now lives in San Antonio. She is the owner of Shabbat Cleaning Services and Shabbat Home, and she employs 10 people, over half of whom are immigrants themselves. We also have Nadia Mavrakis. She is the CEO and founder of Cultural Ringua. This is a nonprofit organization that works to cultivate, promote, and preserve Middle Eastern, North African, and South Asian cultural, linguistic, and artistic heritage, and also invest into the community and economic development. We also have Jessica Azua. She is the recipient of the DREAM Act, who has publicly spoken about her perilous journey to the United States as a teenager. And since being here, she's also gotten into advocacy with her work at the Texas Organizing Project. We have Riga Tareen. She is an Afghan refugee who came to San Antonio in 2021 after fleeing life-threatening Taliban attacks in Kabul. Riga is now a program coordinator with Cultural Ringua, where she works with Afghan women coming to the United States for the first time and helps them obtain employment and resources. We also have Myra Montero. She is the City of San Antonio's new immigration liaison. As a child of immigrants, Myra was born in Dallas, Texas, and was raised in Guanajuato, Mexico. Since then, she's dedicated her life to advocating for immigrants and for refugees. So, thank you all so much for joining today's panel. It's an honor to hear your experiences today. We'll start with the first question. So, one of the things that really gets missed in the conversation about immigrants and refugees is a better understanding of where you come from and why you chose to come here. We will start with Juliana. Juliana, what were the conditions like in your home country which made you decide to come to the United States?
So first of all, I want to say hello, and I'm very grateful to have this opportunity. And to go back to your question, I graduated. I was working. I went to the moment that I was like, I'm done. I have my, the job that I was wanted it to be. I was working by the government, and one day everything changed. I was coming back from my job, and a group of people that are not from the government was waiting for me with a list of requirements and with all my family information. And they were treating my life and my family life if I wasn't, willing to give back what they were requesting. And of course, these groups are not part of, the government or my idea or the idea that we have for our country. And that was a very serious condition. I applied for a lot of jobs. I was working very hard. I had a very limited salary, right? And all of these, I was kind of exposing my life. And then one of the sudden, after, I completed everything, all was pretty much gone. Like it was, I continue doing this, or I ran from my life because I knew that they were serious. They have all my information. How, I don't know, but that was the situation, and that what made me, find a place to go that I was safe and I was able to do what I was supposed to do.
Wow. That sounds like you had a lot of fear and anxiety. They had a list of your family's names.
Yeah, location, address, everything. And this was something that my family didn't know at the moment. I didn't want, to put them on the loop. But so it was something that I was, pretty much dealing by myself. I didn't have that much time or room because they give me like a due date and everything. And it was just very scary. I'm the oldest of three that they were in the city. I also have my mom, my dad, and my grandma with me at that moment. And it was just, you never think that you were going to be in that situation. And that was my situation. And it wasn't about me being rich or me being a important person, nothing. I was just doing my job, right? I was taking care of the community. And then all of a sudden I was exposed to this situation.
Oh my goodness. Now, Nadia, oh, there you are. So I believe your situation is a little different. Your parents came to the United States for your family, I believe. Tell us more about that. What year was that in? And why did your parents choose to make this move to the United States?
Sure. So thank you very much for this opportunity. So my father moved to the United States from Libya in the 70s. Initially for higher education opportunities with an intention to return to Libya, but due to the political situation in Libya at the time, he became essentially a political refugee and was not able to return to Libya for 34 years after that. My mother is actually American. She's from St. Louis, Missouri, and my parents met in Missouri, and I was born and raised in Dallas. And I think that having that dual identity of being a Libyan American and really identifying with both of those roots so strongly, but not having the ability to go to Libya until I was in my early 20s when the political situation in Libya changed, was the first time that I was truly able to go back home, or at least to my father's homeland, and experience the life that that he grew up with, that my cousins and my aunt and grandparents had. And so I think that has really, that experience of both seeing that my father was not able to return to his homeland for so many years, and also the work that he did to integrate into U.S. culture and to the U.S. economy while maintaining his heritage in Libya and passing that on to his children, really inspired me to work to support immigrants in San Antonio, and thus found Culturingua, the nonprofit organization that I lead, which works to support immigrant and refugee families in San Antonio, both to integrate into San Antonio while maintaining their cultural heritage and cultural roots.
So you mentioned a lot of things I want to ask follow-up questions on, such as integrating into U.S. culture, but we'll save that for just a bit. We are going to dive into all of that good stuff. Jessica, so what do you remember about your life in Mexico? And maybe, wasn't your choice to come to the United States, but your parents. Share about that. Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you for letting me know. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me and being part of this panel with all of you. So yes, how much I remember, I not much. I mean, I do, but it's like I moved here to the United States when I was only 14 years old, and like you mentioned, I came here because my dad was already here. My mom was in Mexico with my brother, and my parents offered me or asked me about the opportunity of coming to come to the United States to get better education, and also because I had not seen my dad already for a few years already. So I came here when I was 14 as an unaccompanied minor. And so from what I can remember from Mexico is like just me going to school. That's all I did. I feel like I didn't really like form my life there, right? Like the life that I have now, it was like here in the United States when I was able to make when I was able to go to school here. I can say that as a minor, my experience was probably a little different, right? That I had to go to a school where I didn't know, because I didn't speak English at the time, right? So I had to learn a new language. I had to adapt a lot to the language and the culture here. For a few years, I was still undocumented because I didn't have anything, and it was not until 2012 when the back then President Obama announced DACA, and I was able to qualify for that program, which I still have. So I'm very grateful for the opportunities that it has given me, the opportunity for me to be able to go to school and to have my life here.
Yeah. Now, Riga, you are our most recent arrival on this panel today. As an Afghan refugee in 2021 last year, can you tell us about why you left?
First of all, Assalamu alaikum and good evening all. Nice to see you all, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about this. To be like, everyone knows now about the Afghanistan situation. On August 2021, when the Taliban attacked Kabul city, actually there were like suddenly everything changed and everyone wanted to leave Afghanistan because of every person, because they're afraid from their future and also what will happen with them, because they did not like those people that they work with the government, and also actually I was not one of them to be afraid of that, because I had a case. My husband, I got married in 2019, and my husband was living in San Antonio, and I had a spouse case, and I was waiting for my interview from the American embassy. And on that time, it was just 1 month to get the chance to do to get my interview. But suddenly in 1 month, in August 2021, everything changed, and American embassy like left Afghanistan, and no, I was not able to process my spouse case procedure there. So I was one of the evacuees, and I got the chance to leave Afghanistan exactly on that time. So I went to, if I talk about the other immigrants, about the other refugees, because I left Afghanistan exactly on August 2021, and I went to Abu Dhabi. It's the city of Dubai, and I spent 2 months there. And even I was not thinking about that I will be for 2 months there. And after that, I came to the United States in New Jersey, and I spent 20 days there. And after that, fortunately, I find my husband come after me, and I come to San Antonio after 3 months exactly. Yeah. And if I talk about the other people, that is still many people are still there in Abu Dhabi in the camps, and it become like 1 year for most of the people, and they are living in everyone knows that being in a camp, like it's very difficult with your children, with your family members in just one room. Like 5 or 6 or 7 people are living there, and they are waiting for the government, United States of government, to do some things about their situation and provide the opportunity, or provide that they have to evacuate them from there, and they can come to United States. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was like, before, I was not thinking about this experience. It was like not a good experience, but it was somehow, it is life is full of challenges, and also full of happiness, and also sadness. I was like, okay, it was like some things written in my fate, and I have to go through that. And it was, even most of the people that they are living in Afghanistan, like my own family, my youngest sister, my parents, they are in Afghanistan, and I'm always thinking about them. I'm in contact with them. I'm talking every day with them, but it's very difficult for them to live in Afghanistan. Not for them, even like most of nowadays, like economic system is totally like, it is very, very worse for those people that they work with the government, and now they lose their jobs, and they are staying at home, especially for the women and girls, that they are not allowed to go to university and also go to school, and also they cannot work with the government. Especially most of the families, the women and also the girl were the one that they support their families, but now they are not allowed to do this, and now they are at home. Because of the one of the reasons that the most of people, they don't want to stay in their home, their own country. Like everyone loves their homeland, their own country, but the situation make them to leave their homeland, their country, because they are finding the opportunity to live their life. They are still like, sometimes when I'm talking with my family, I'm saying like, most of people are alive, but they are not living their lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is the case.
And we do have a question about communicating with your friends and family back in your home country. So I do want to save a bit of that for our question coming up. So now I want to turn to Myra Montero with the City of San Antonio. Myra, as the city's immigration liaison, you meet many migrants at several stages of their journey. Can you maybe explain a little more about your role so the audience understands how you work with the city on this issue?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I think all of us here have unique stories from either personal or parents, second generation. Just like Nadia, I'm a second generation. My parents also were immigrants. They had to adjust status and integrate in the US. So I think as a city, My job as the immigration liaison is really work with the stakeholders, our community partners, and the city departments to find spaces to collaborate so we can make San Antonio a welcoming space for our immigrants. And what I see here with the immigrants and refugees is that although they all have different reasons why they flee their home country, they all want just to have a good life, right? They all want to have opportunities for employment, opportunities for education, opportunities to integrate. And my job is to really work with the community partners here to make sure that the refugees and immigrants have those resources, and also where the gaps are and where we can collaborate together so that we are serving this community much better.
Right, and thank you so much for sharing that. I do want to ask, are there any common threads that you see in migrants coming to San Antonio today?
Yes. So there's always this perception that people want come here for many reasons, right? People don't want to leave their home country. People are kind of obligated to leave because of the different circumstances. And the city of San Antonio understands it's a compassionate city that wants to make sure that we respect and honor our refugees and immigrants that are coming here. And unfortunately, some of the immigrants face discrimination, sometimes violence, harassment, not having enough opportunities out there, even in the workforce. So those are some things that we see. Language, also not having language access in their language that they understand and speak. And that was something that the city of San Antonio was very particular, developing a language access department to ensure that our city departments are providing meaningful services to the different communities that we have here in San Antonio. So those are just some of the things that we encounter. We know this is a long road ahead, but I think working together, collaborating together, we can make a big impact and provide great support to our immigrants and refugees.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to question number 2. Could you tell us more about your journey here? How long did it take? What was it like? We will start with Riga.
Thank you so much. As I'm working with culturing, well, not I always continuously say this. I'm one of the luckiest person when I come into United States. San Antonio. When I came here, I was looking for a job, or I was looking to switch my field of study. Even I'm having master's degree in public management policy analysis, because I was like, okay, let's change my field of study to find out a good job with good salary. And I contact Culture Engva, and fortunately, I talked with Nadia Jan, and on that time, when I explained about my job experience and back to my country in Afghanistan, and also I talked about my education and many other things. So after 1 week, I think, after 1 week, they offer me job. And I'm working with Culture Engva as a program coordinator. So being here, most of the time I'm saying that like United States is land of opportunities, especially for educated people, if they are educated, or maybe for newcomers that they wanna, if they wanna find out a good job, they have to try their hard. And also there is lots of opportunity to find out good job for them, for themselves. So for me, it was a little bit, or I can say that it was very easy to find a good job and with good organization. And I'm very happy. And really, I'm very happy to work with them, because my organization is working with the newcomers, immigrants, and we are trying to solve their problems and find out a good way how to solve their problems, especially that a project that we are working now for the women, and also for the those women that they have skills like sewing, and they want to help their families, and they want to support their family. So we work with them, and we are going to start our second phase, because our first phase was very successful, and I'm really, really happy for the work that Nadia Jan is doing with for the newcomers and also for immigrants and refugees.
Absolutely. Because you work directly with immigrants, how long do you hear, with their stories when they come here to the United States? How long is their journey?
You're asking about my journey?
Well, you can answer about your journey or about the immigrants that you work with at Cultura Ringua.
Yeah, of course, why not? Because I cannot talk on behalf of all the immigrants and refugees, but I can talk about those people, those families that we are in contact with them and we are working for them. Still, we are trying to solve their problems and try to find out the opportunity for them to solve their problem. Actually, most of the immigrants, like Mary said, that the biggest challenges for the newcomers is the language barrier, because the language is the most important. Like, without knowing English, writing and reading, they cannot even move from one place to other place. They cannot do anything. They cannot visit their appointments. They cannot even pay their bills, and also they can't find out good jobs. Actually, most of the people is still they are facing many challenges, like transportation, like healthcare. Like, they can even when I'm talking with them, like, most of the people, they are always talking, especially the men, that they have to support their families. Because most of the people here in San Antonio, especially Afghani people, they are large size families. So they have to find a good job with good salary, but they are not able to find it. One of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest problems. When I'm talking with them and they are saying, is it possible to find me a good job or like something like this? Even the resettlement agencies, when they are trying to provide them good job with good salaries, but because they are skillless, and also they are not educated people, and first of all they have to learn language, and also they have to exactly, still they are trying to adjust with the system, because the system is totally different back in Afghanistan, because it was very easy for them to adjust there, but it was very difficult for them to adjust here. And with their small kids, and they have to rule in school to their children, and also how to visit the doctor. Even I'm in contact with the families that is still our one of organization is helping them, and they are meeting their appointments to the doctor, and they are visiting. Like, they are the one that support them, and they help them. The family help the family to go to the hospital and visit their appointments. Like, one of the good work that my organization is doing. This is it's awesome, but still they are in contact with that family. Like, most of the families, otherwise it was very difficult for them, because they don't have the knowledge how to drive here, because they have to learn how to, first of all, they have to make ready yourself. They have to learn how to get their driving license. After that, they have to buy a car. After that, they have to know how to ride here in San Antonio, driving is very, very difficult. Like, on highways, like, oh my God, when I see, I have to do it also, but when I see that for these people, it is very challengeable and very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's such a big challenge. Myra, go ahead.
Yeah, may I add to Regis' point? It depends on every immigrant and refugee has unique circumstances, but an average depends. It could be a month, it could be 3 months, it could be 4 months. It just depends, because they have to make travel arrangements, right? It also depends which country they're coming from, that the journey might be longer. So it just depends. But technically, some for sure more than a month that they have to travel, but it just depends also where they're coming from. and where the method, like whether they have to come from an airplane, whether they have to come in a bus, whether they have to walk. Immigrants, they use all methods to get to the destination.
Exactly. And I imagine overseas that journey is so much longer. Uh, Jessica, what do you hear from immigrants you work with about their journey?
Well, I work mostly with a lot of communities that are still undocumented. And so we hear a lot of stories, right, in their journey on how they came here. Um, uh, some of them maybe they came also in an 18-wheeler. Some of them maybe overstayed their visas. Others just like there's different ways on how they got here. Like their journeys are difficult, and it just makes me think about and wonder like what kind of things they could be going through back in their home country to take that very, very difficult journey, very dangerous journey. I was in the airport last week, and I was waiting for my plane, and I met some people that were dropped off at the airport, right, that were on their way to their final destination. They were coming from Nicaragua, and I didn't get too much into like the details, right, of their journey, but it just make me think about, right, like they're coming all the way from Nicaragua, right? They went through Guatemala, they went through Mexico, and so they were telling me about how dangerous it was, how like they took all of their money. By the time that they got to the border, they didn't have anything on them. I was able to purchase them some food because they had not eaten. So I am an immigrant myself, and I went through also a similar journey, right? But I think I think our people are very strong, and our people are coming here because, like you mentioned, or someone mentioned earlier, right, we are coming here for different reasons, because of we are looking for a job, we're looking for better education, better life for our children, for our families. And we can only imagine like the very difficult things that like they are going through back at home, that can make them come through in that to that very difficult journey.
Right. Are there any stories you'd like to share on why people come to the United States?
I mean, like I said, I think like a lot of us come because some of us want to be reunified with our families. Like personally, like I mentioned, my dad was already here, right? And we had already been separated for years, and I really wanted to be with my dad. I wanted to be reunified with my dad and my family here. So I think it's a lot of family reunification, jobs as well, education. There's just so many reasons, but at the end of the day, it is because we're looking for a better life.
May I add to Jessica's point? So before I used to work, before coming to San Antonio, I used to work for this nonprofit pro bar in the Rio Grande Valley, working with the unaccompanied minors and families. And some of the reasons why people were coming, like the ones that mentioned in this panel that I would like to add, is poverty. Another one was disasters, like it could be a hurricane, a tsunami, just a natural disaster, but also fleeing violence. Some other, kids I remember talking about their sexual orientation. They were being targeted by the government or by certain groups targeted for that. Also, their political affiliation for certain things. So it also even abuse within their family unit. So there's just so many reasons, right, that people leave. But I just would like to add those additional reasons as well.
Absolutely. That's so necessary to talk about as well. Juliana, would you like to briefly talk about your experience traveling here?
Sure. So My whole planning, for the process, it didn't take more than a week. As I mentioned it before, I didn't have that many options. I didn't have a lot of resources, but I was, I have to do this. I have to find resources and everything. So it was literally one day I wake up, I told my parents, this is, I have to leave the country. There is no any more place for me. There is no room. I don't want to live this for my whole life. I don't want this for my kids. This is no life, be living with fear, having fear every day. That's not life. It's just like you be dead walking, pretty much. So I find all the paperwork. I applied different universities. I was trying, to find a good reason to leave my country, to be honest. And I applied a bunch of university. I have my degree back from Colombia. I didn't speak that much English at that moment. I was like, I will fake it until I make it. That's all what I care. So I applied, and then UTSA, that is my heart. I love it. I love UTSA with all my heart. Accept me in one day. Like I submit all my paperwork. The next day I was approved. The following day I had my I-20, and I was like, oh my God, something's happening. I think that is the right moment. So it took me a week to have everything, all the documents ready, packing, finding, the tickets. But the best part, and I have to share this, is, you had a visa. For a student, you have to get a visa, right? So I scheduled my appointment for the visa, and I was very lucky that I had one appointment for that week. So I went to the embassy, and then the consul was like, why you want to go to study in the United States? And I was like, well, I'm done here. No good salary, no good opportunities. I'm done. I have to leave. And then at the consul was like, what about if I don't give you the visa? And I was like, you're going to give me the visa, sir. You are going to give me the visa. I have the tickets already bought. Like, you cannot do this to me. So we're like, okay, so give me the visa. And I was like, oh my God, that was a huge risk. But then after that, not only with, me telling the consul, you have to give me the visa, I told the consul, but another little detail, I need to get my visa tomorrow, because I, tomorrow I cannot stay here. So it took me a week. I got money, I got tickets, I got approved by UTSA, I got the visa in 1 week. When I was going to actually took the plane to come to San Antonio, I went first to the embassy, got my passport, go to the airport, get the ticket, and most of the people just find out when I was already here, and I didn't talk about the story behind of what was going on, because I didn't want my family and friends to be scared of the situation. But a couple of months later, my mom started finding out, because there was people looking and asking for myself and everything. So that was my journey. I had a week to plan everything and to tell everybody that everything has to work for me at that moment, and it did. So that's
Yeah,
what.
and you're still a student at UTSA, correct?
Yes, yes, and it has been. It was like my angel, It was a safe place. I came to live in campus, and I feel safe. I found teachers, and I have friends that heard my story. I came. I didn't even have sheets. This is something that I have to share, because even though sometimes people think you have money to buy a ticket or to get a visa, you have money to cover all your things, and that's not true. When I came to sleep on dorms. I didn't have the money, so I told them, give me a month so I can collect the money and stay. And I assumed that I have sheets to sleep, because the only thing that I had was a luggage, with some clothes. That's it. And I didn't have anything. I didn't have nobody to ask, for anything. So that first night I have to walk to Walmart 45 minutes, get like $12. $12 was the package of the set. I still have it here because it's a good memory, and then come back and put it there. So, but I was safe. I saw the police all the time around. I was able to go to class without having all the funds up front. So it made me think that if they see a potential, they trust that I can do it, that I was going to pay, and that they give me a place to live, to eat and everything. It made me feel and tell myself, you can do this.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to the next question, I want you all to think back to maybe a few years ago. I wanted to ask, what was your first day like in the United States? Do you remember what you did, what you saw, or who you met? We'll start with Riga.
First day in the United States. Actually, I was in the Army campus, so I met different people from my own country, and I was looking like, oh my God, I will be so for how many months I will be here, because I don't want to. I already spent 2 months, so I was shocked on that day, first day, because when you come, like the way that I came to the United States, it was like, for me, it was okay. My husband is living here, and I have to go and I have to live with him and make my life. But still, I was in my heart, I was very sad, and because my family, and also because of the situation, and also because all these things. But I did not lose my hope, and I said, okay, let's. First day was like good, but at the first day, if I talk about first day experience, I lost my bag. I lost my backpack.
Oh no.
I lost my backpack with all my original documents, and also with my computer, with all my I was like, oh my God, at the first day in the United States, I lost my backpack with all my original documents, because I spent 2 days. I didn't sleep, and I was very tired. Everyone was like, how did you lost your bag? I said, because I was so tired, and I would just put it here, and I went for vaccine and these things. And when I came back, and I forget to take because I had one small luggage, and when my backpack, I took the luggage, and I left my backpack when at the morning, 4 o'clock at the morning, when I get up, and on that time I realized that, oh my God, I lost where's my backpack? I say, oh, I forget it on that campus, on that building. So I will go tomorrow morning and I will get it back. When I went there, I couldn't find it. Fortunately, I found my backpack after 6 months. After 6 months, they find out, and they call me, and they send it to me back.
Wow, 6 months. Oh no.
Again, I said, most of the people, especially my family and friends, said, you're so lucky, because you lost all your original documents and you get it back. I got it back. I said, yes, of course, I got it back. So this was if I say bad experience, because at the first visit of my life in the United States, I lost my whole original, and also my education documents, my computer, my all documents. It was very difficult.
Oh no, but I'm so glad you got it back.
Yeah, I got it back. So I'm fine with that. Actually, in this way, I experienced too many, like many different things I experienced in my life. But these kind of experience make us powerful and make us strong. So yeah, something like when you lose, you will be very sad after that. You will cry. You were like, oh my God, why happened? These things happened to me. But at the last, okay, it's normal.
Yeah. So Jessica, do you remember what your first day in the United States was like? What you did, what you saw, who you met?
Yeah. Well, it was tough. A little bit of my story is that I came here in an 18-wheeler, and I had passed out, and I was in pain. So that's like first day. Those are the first feelings that come to mind, right? Being confused, being in pain, and passing out. But when I finally made it and woke up, thankfully, since I had lost consciousness, when I woke up, I saw that we were on New Laredo Highway Street in the south side of San Antonio, and there was a restaurant called Laredo or something like that. So I was so confused. Because I had lost track of time, and I didn't know where we were. I thought that we were in Laredo.
Mm-hmm.
And because they were not talking to us, right? They were just like telling us just get out. And I was so confused. But I think after that, and getting to my tia's house, my aunt's house, and seeing all of my family there waiting for me was made everything like so worth it. Everything that I had gone through, everything that I went through, all the pain that I felt, all the um, all the feelings that I felt were worth it when I saw my uncles, my aunts, my cousins waiting there for me. They had actually my dad wasn't there because he went to get pizza. So I got there first, and when I saw him like come in with the boxes of pizza, it was like just so wonderful. Yeah, I'm even gonna get a little emotional, but it was a very emotional moment because after so many years, like that's what I wanted, right? To be with my dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Nadia, I know when you work with immigrants at your nonprofit, once people make that journey to the United States, what support do they need, and very quickly? Tell us more about the role that you play in that process.
Sure. So Rika talked about it a little bit, but we have a program called Communities of Welcome that supports the integration of immigrants and refugees into San Antonio, and we support them through linguistic integration, both through ESL and classes, as well as ensuring language access, through economic integration, through programs such as the Sewing for Success project that Riga mentioned, that teaches women sewing skills and enables them to start small businesses and entrepreneurship endeavors for seamstress products, as well as a program called Nourish to Flourish, which is a hands-on culinary experience. We have a food truck that will be having our grand opening next month, and that is an opportunity for immigrants and refugees to gain hands-on experience working in a commercial kitchen in the U.S. So that they can then go on to have work experience that can help them get a job or start their own small business. We also support through psychological and social integration. So we have, through the Communities of Welcome program, we have different organizations, congregations, faith-based and other faith-based organizations, universities, local businesses that have stepped up and volunteered and said, we want to help in the integration efforts. And so we pair those organizations with newly arrived families, and they help them they break bread together, they get to know each other, they support them through navigating different ways to whether it is how to ride the via, or how to go to the grocery store, or how to check their mail, all these sorts of things that help them feel like an integrated member of the San Antonio society. And we also help, as Riga mentioned, with healthcare navigation, both through COVID-19 support, vaccinations, and outreach, as well as other support to get health screenings and support going to doctor visits. So sort of really a myriad of ways to support them. And then the final way is also through integration into the financial system by helping them open bank accounts, and also financial literacy courses to help them understand how the finance system operates in the US, and how they can effectively utilize the banking system.
Yeah, so setting them up for success.
Yes, exactly.
Wonderful.
But at the same time, having this support structure of both people on our staff, such as Riga, who are familiar with both from a language and culture perspective, and able to really help bridge bridge that gap, as well as the community of welcome volunteers that provide tremendous amount of support, and so psychological and social support to the refugee families.
Maida, I wanted to ask for your perspective. So today, in this moment in time in San Antonio, we are seeing an uptick in Venezuelan and Cuban migrants seeking asylum in the United States. What makes someone leave everything behind to come here? I know you kind of touched on this briefly.
Yes. So yes, that is true. That we're seeing just like anywhere in the US, really, like, any border, we're seeing, Cubans and Venezuelans coming. In Venezuela, their economy is not as stable right now. Their economic force either. So really, there's nothing that really can sustain a community like that. If there's no jobs available, everything is so expensive, and also their political landscape are reasons why someone will flee. Cuba is also similar as well, and like everyone has mentioned, like they take that dangerous journey to come here. I mean, they just want to have a they want to be in a place where they feel safe, and US is a safe place. And when they come here, like Nadia was mentioning, they have to integrate, but sometimes first we have to start with the basic needs, making sure that they have a safe place to stay, that they have water, that they have food, that they have clothing, that they have a shower, right? Because they're just arriving. And after they are able to reunify with a family member that they feel and they trust, they start integrating within the new community, learning the language, learning the culture, knowing where to find a job, where to enroll their children to school. So there's a lot of that goes through the immigrant journey. It doesn't end when they get here, right? It continues with the years, to get legal status for an asylum seeker. Like, it's a process to get a status in the US. Once you're let's say you have your green card or you're a legal permanent resident, you have to wait 5 years to potentially to become a US citizen. You have to learn the language, you have to take a naturalization test. You have to also have money to pay for the application fees, which are costly. So that journey really, starts with the moment that the family decides, I need to leave for many other reasons that we discussed today. And then it continues as they're seeking legal status, and at the end, citizenship.
Right. And the city offers many programs to help them transition as well, correct?
Yeah, so like Nadia has mentioned a lot about the work that she does for the Afghanan and the refugees, and but there's also another nonprofits here in San Antonio that are doing amazing work, just like Volta Lingua. So our job is to work with those nonprofits to make us strong and see how the city can support them in their events and their initiatives. Also, like if there's opportunity for fundings, we share information, potential grants. And we're just here working together. Like, not recently, in September 20th, well, it's been like less than a month, we work with USCIS in the US District Court to naturalize 400 people from 73 countries. So it's just, San Antonio is that great place that values our immigrants, and providing the space. We provided the space, we provided the convention center to host that naturalization ceremony. So it just depends. We're here to listen to our community partners, and we're here to also make some changes within the city to ensure that we are supporting as much as we can in their needs that they're having.
Juliana,
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought someone wanted to add something. Juliana, when you got here, what was the response from the San Antonio community? Did you feel welcome?
Oh, I love San Antonio. So that there is nothing else that I have to, to say. From the beginning, when I came here, from the airport, the university, I used to take classes for dancing because I miss Colombia and I miss my music. So I went out to get dancing, and I have a bunch of friends, without, with this language barrier that I didn't speak, they didn't speak, and the music, it doesn't matter. We were having just a good time. So I had several times opportunity to leave San Antonio with different offers, and I won't leave San Antonio. There wasn't any other reason before. I came to different states, vacation and everything, but there won't be any reason that I will leave my San Antonio. I feel like, even though I'm born in Colombia and I love my country a lot, this country in San Antonio gave me what my country and my city didn't give me. So I own everything to San Antonio. And before, I move forward, I would like to add something about what Myra was mentioning. I used to live in the border with Colombia and Venezuela for 6 years, and I was able to see and experience how a country changed in less than a year. The economy. When I moved to the border, Venezuela at that moment has their money, their currency was 3 times the Colombian pesos. All of a sudden, it was things about months. It dropped completely. Like their money wasn't, they couldn't even afford to buy rice in our country. And before, we were the ones that went to their country to buy, because it was less expensive and everything. So the situation with Venezuela is something that really hurt me, as much as other countries. But this was something that I saw, that I experienced. It was a couple of years that everything changed, and it wasn't about, being poor, because also people that had their business and everything was took out, in days. They didn't have anything. They didn't have way to go. We experience in Colombia right now, we are having also a lot of immigration from Venezuela, and it's hard because as much as we wanted to support my country, don't have the resources to help them. So you see, what is happening right now is the result of many Venezuelans leaving their country and trying to get to other countries to find a better life, and they are not able to find it. So the last resort is kind of saying, because the distance is United States, and then coming here, and if they come to places that are not San Antonio, I feel bad about it. That if they come to San Antonio, I'm pretty sure that they find a place that they can call home, feel safe, and start over. And that's the more important part, because it's something new. It's not something that they are being experiencing over year. There is a couple of generations that are involved with this change, and they wasn't prepared at all for it.
Wow. Juliana, you said something really interesting. You said the United States was kind of the last resort. Can you share some of the other countries that people go to
Yeah.
that
So
nearby?
yeah, there is a lot of immigration right now to Colombia, as I mentioned it. There was also a lot of immigration to Mexico, and Mexico have to, put some reservation, kind of saying, to stop that. But also Brazil was one of the countries that was receiving a lot of Venezuelan. But again, there was the limitation with the language and also the economies. Even though we try to pretend to have a strong economies, that is not that thing as good economy, or providing at least health care for these people that are been walking for days without food or anything. So really, for them, as many of you, in this case Colombian immigration, that are coming without documents, is the last resources. It's not that they have been planning all their life, and saving all their life to come and kind of live what we call the American dream. We have to be honest of the situation. When people left everything and take this road trip, and invest everything that they have and put their life and their kids' life on risk, is because they don't have any other option.
Wow. So Jessica, you came here when you were 14, I believe you said. Speaking about adjusting to life in the United States, did you make friends quickly? Were people friendly? And did you have any bad experiences?
I did. I actually had a really good experience. I'm surprised. I consider myself an introvert, so it's hard for me to make new friends. It's hard for me to meet new people. But in this case, I guess it's survival, right? Like it was my first day of school, and even though by default I am an introvert, it was like the way I'm gonna like survive this is like I need to make new friends, right? And friends that can help me get around that, because also like it was very overwhelming, like going to a new school. Schools here are so different from what they are in Mexico. Like they are so confusing also, like the how to get from one place to your next class. So I saw that there was a group of friends, a group of people, right, that were speaking Spanish. I was like, okay, that's my group, that's my people. And I introduced myself. I was like, hey, I'm Jessica. I'm new here. Can I sit with you? I guess it was like survival, right? This is how I'm gonna have to like get around. I'm gonna have to learn. I think yeah, they were very welcoming. There was a lot of students that were in my same situation, right? That they had just arrived maybe like in the same year or within the last few years. We were all taking English as a second language classes. So I think that was another space that made me feel like home, right? I'm with like people that are going through a similar situation. Like we're all adapting, we're all learning. Let's just help each other, right? The only thing is that I feel that I feel like when I was transitioning from high school to college, my experience was that I didn't get that much information on what was available for us. That was back in 2009. No, that's when I graduated, 2009. So 2006, 2007 or so, like there was not, maybe counselors didn't know much, but I didn't feel like I was like really getting like guided or being guided right on what I needed to do to go to college. I was very lucky to meet one of my teachers who helped me through this process. Like he went out of his way to figure things out right for me. But I think like I'm grateful that I think this happened after I started college. Like the city started the program with Cafe College, and there's more resources now. I'm very happy that that is happening now, and every time that I can and I see that there are students that need help, I'm willing to share my experience and willing to share what I know, and that they can still go to college here, because I think that there is still a lot of misinformation, misconception that students may not be able to go to school here or to go to college or university or even apply for financial aid. And there are ways, right? And there are resources now like Cafe College and maybe other resources as well for students. But yeah, we can go to school here, and we can also even get financial aid.
Absolutely. So this is a general question for everyone. What advice do you have for migrants coming to the United States today? I'll let anyone.
I will. Yeah. So as Jessica was mentioning, what happened about the college, that was my background. I came, as an international student. Something that I learned and that I will repeat to everybody is education is a key in the process. Learning the language will give you the tools that you need to, not to prove other people, to prove yourself who you are and what you are capable. If you came to this country and you pass all these hard situations and you have been dealing with a lot of things, you can show up for yourself and make the things right to you. So my advice will be ask about it. Ask if you don't know, if you don't understand, ask. There is something on your phone that Google Translator. There is a person everywhere that you go that might speak your language, and find those resources. Go to the San Antonio city. Ask where are the resources at the university. Even with a visa, when I came, there was a bunch of things that I was able to find out, but because I asked and I say I need help. So if you need help, find those resources. San Antonio is amazing with this type of resources in English, Spanish, and different language, so you can take advantage of that. And also the last thing that I will say is trusting yourself. Doesn't matter that you have left everything, that you are scared, that you are not anymore who you supposed to be. There is a new path, there is a new beginning, and you are the one that is going to write the story from now on. So just make it right, and show up for yourself.
Does anyone else want to add to that? What advice do you have for migrants coming to the United States today? Okay, well, before we wrap up, I do want to ask the last question, and that is, where do you see your life within the next 10 years? What hopes or dreams do you have? Riga, we'll start with you.
I see 10 years. I see it positively, and it will be very good in the future. I hope so, and I believe that. But I have to work a lot to reach my dream here, because it is not that much easy to reach out your dreams, and you have to work a lot, and you have to you have to give time to reach out your dreams, and also your whatever you want. Actually, 10 years looks better than now. Is also better, to be honest. It will be much more better than now.
Jessica, do you want to share what you want your life to look like within the next 10 years?
Yes. I just want to start with advice, and then I can go into the next part of the question. I will say Myra touched based on the logo that the city of San Antonio always uses. The San Antonio is a compassionate city, right? And I appreciate that the city of San Antonio, it's very open when it says that we welcome immigrants here, right? We welcome everyone is welcome here. I would say, come as you are, right? Come as you are. That there are places and organizations that are willing to help. Whether you are a student, there will be places that can help you with your applications or your language, like Juliana said, or if you're looking for a job or anything, right? Come as you are. We welcome you as you are, and there are places here that want to help you, and we will. So yes. And 10 years, it's a hard question for me. And that is because I feel under a lot of uncertainty right now with my DACA status. So DACA is in limbo right now, right? It's being threatened almost every year, every a few months, something is happening to DACA. And so that uncertainty makes it a little foggy, right? For me to see, like, not even like next year, not even 2 years. I'm hoping, my dream is to still be here. I can talk about my dreams. My dream is to still be here. I am very passionate in the work that I do and work with immigrant communities and finding policy solutions on how to make their lives a little easier, right? In our cities and in our state of Texas. I'm hoping that I can continue to do this work. I'm hoping that I just can't be here. I can hopefully maybe adjust my status in a more permanent way. That's a dream. Hopefully by then maybe we have some kind of immigration reform or something that can help me get there.
I just want to add to the first part of what Jessica said related to coming as you are, and also for those of you that are not immigrants, that are San Antonio residents, to also welcome immigrants into our country. And I want to also invite everyone to the second annual Welcome Walk and Festival, which will be on Saturday, November 12th at the Denman Estate Park. And it is a 1-mile walk of existing San Antonio residents and new immigrants and refugees and migrants walking alongside each other physically, but also metaphorically representing how welcoming of a city San Antonio is, and walking alongside new arrivals and supporting them into their lives together. Just as we've heard so many amazing stories from everyone on this call of how welcoming San Antonio has been to them. And I would invite everyone to join to show the world how welcoming San Antonio is.
Nadia, do you want to share where you would like your organization to be? What services do you want to expand on within the next decade?
Sure. So I talked about some of the areas that we work with, which is related to economic empowerment and enabling immigrants and refugees to have paths to obtain upward economic mobility through workforce development and small business support. And so we are working towards a strategic plan to expand that area to allow and better enable immigrants and refugees to achieve the American dream and to overcome barriers such as lack of credit history that prevents them from having access to capital to start and grow their businesses. And so, or having access to workforce development and job training programs in their native languages so that they are able to obtain training that is US recognized in a particular job field in their native language, at the same time as learning the English language, which helps better fast track them to obtain a job in a field that provides them upward career mobility. And then, as I was referencing before, providing access to capital and technical assistance and training to entrepreneurs to help them start and grow their businesses. And so among many things, that's a big focus of where we hope to continue to work to support San Antonio's immigrant community in being able to obtain the American dream and sustain themselves and their families and thrive in this community.
Juliana, you're probably more established because I think you just, or I know you just had a baby girl. So what would you envision her life like?
Well, first of all, this was a dream. So I was waiting for a baby for 3 years, but also wanted to have a baby that born here in San Antonio because it's a sign. It's a sign for me, you know. But also I envision her life, you know, with freedom, with passion, would be capable to do whatever she wanna do. And this is I'm very straightforward with this. I had a master in environmental science, but I love to clean, and there is nothing bad about it, you know. So I want her to be sure that she is who she is, not because a title or a situation or a financial economic, but because it's her passion, you know, what moved her. So and I think that this is something that only in this country can happen, that you can, you know, be, you know, serving in a restaurant because you like it and you have enough, you know, to cover for your things and be happy with what you're doing. You know, you don't have to keep up with situations. So I want her to have that freedom that at some point I didn't have, and be able to dream. There is nothing better than be able to dream and get whatever she wants, travel the world, learn different language, because here she will be able to practice a lot of language without going out. So that's what I envision, a very meaningful life.
Beautiful. Myra, I do want to end today's panel with you. What is San Antonio's message to migrants passing through the city, or for those who choose to stay in San Antonio?
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, for the amazing conversation today. I think we San Antonio welcomes you. San Antonio wants you to feel that you have the opportunity to be who you are, to honor your culture, to honor your language, to honor your history, to honor the stories that you share, right? So I think with the San Antonio, we want that, right? We want to learn from each other, but we also want to help you be leaders within the community so that you can pass that message along with others. Um, San Antonio wants you to feel like you like Juliana was mentioning, where her daughter can dream and do what she hopes so. We also hope that there's a DACA adjustment, like Jessica, that our federal government really honors the DACA students and they have the opportunities so they can, get that, not being in this uncertainty for so long. It also goes for the undocumented community, right? There's a lot of, millions undocumented in the U.S. with no path to anything. So it's hopefully having an adjustment in the immigration system, um, more locally, more in what it's within our capacity, right? Is just to work together to making sure that we're giving people the opportunity that they need. It's either through partnership with our within our profits community partners, but also see how we're doing as a city within our city department, right? Like language access, workforce, economic development that we discussed, funding opportunities. And I think one thing I would like to just take for our residents here in San Antonio, we all humans, right? We all bring ideas, bring contributions. Immigrants, they're like us, and they want the same opportunities that we want. And I just want you to think about what these amazing people discussed today, and just reflect on those things. And they're just amazing people wanted to contribute here to the US and bring their own uniqueness, their own passion, their own dreams and hopes. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all for joining today's panel. I actually have a full page of questions we didn't quite get to, but this is why, we'll keep reporting on your stories. So for our viewers, thank you all for this really important discussion. The immigration issue can become so intensely political, especially today. And we really appreciate the chance to kind of zoom out and talk about real people and their lived experiences, as well as San Antonio's welcoming approach to migrants. Again, a special thank you to our 2022 presenting sponsors, the City of San Antonio and Bexar County Economic and Community Development. We also thank our engagement and innovation sponsors for supporting this year's event. Again, for a full list of sponsors, please visit www.cityfestsa.org. And as always, if you do value civic engagement and community conversations like this one, consider becoming a member at the San Antonio Report. Thank you all so much.